Blah. What a way to start. All right, let's see. You guys getting sound now? What a way to start. Sorry about that. I thought I had everything checked out. Please let me know if you are getting sound. I am at your not at your whim, but need your help to figure out if I'm getting sound. Okay, Adam hears me. That's good. I wonder what it was with those trailers. That stinks. I don't know why it did that. I just added in those trailers, trying to get too fancy again. As you guys know, you guys new to my stream, Adam, and Mr. Dragon. I'm so appreciative that you guys are here. You guys beat the usuals, and I realized that what's up, Mr. Dragon? I realized that I had no idea that the YouTube streamer Gothix is streaming right now, and a lot of my usuals like John, Comrade Sammy, Emo Trash, Awesome One, Cranberry Langers, all those guys usually are on Gothic stream. That's how they know a lot of themselves. That's how they know each other. So I had no idea, planned it out poorly. Gothix is a huge YouTuber, and she's got a huge following. So her draw is large. Hopefully they'll pop in here and talk to each other on Discord and say, hey, come check it out. But yeah, I decided to stream today because I am on a roll with these master studies. And on a roll meaning I'm just so excited about them. And they've been getting a good response. And I've only done two so far, two streams about this Mike ZECK page. But as I've been planning out this next step, which is the inking phase, I've been super, super excited just to get into it and get going on it. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to stream today. I'm actually toying with the idea of streaming twice. Who knows? I've got something I've got to go to in the middle of the day, but I wanted to stream today. It depends on how far I get today. But it will be... I'll show you guys the process of where I got to prep for the inks, and then show you kind of the supplies that I have right now. Not all my supplies arrived, but most of the ones enough that I could just get started, and I just wanted to jump in. Like I've been so excited to get to this inking part. So that's why I'm just like, let's just go. And we'll adjust as we go on. But yeah, it's been really exciting to get prepped for it. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to just go ahead and set up a stream today. And then I was even doing some adjustments in my studio and like put in a couple new shelves. I have a little bit more lighting coming in so that this corner can be lit eventually. So yeah, just a whole bunch of different changes that I didn't want to wait. I have a tendency to wait till things are super perfect. And I just want to build on the momentum, my own excitement momentum of these master study streams. So that's why I'm doing it now. But in the flurry of trying to get those trailers working, I guess I didn't hook up the sound properly. I don't know why. Why is that? I felt like everything was set. So sorry that you guys sat there in silence for, 4 minutes? Sorry about that. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it fixed for the next one. Let me see. So Adam, Mr. Dragon, I'm, like I said, really happy you guys are here. Adam, appreciating your comments on the YouTube videos as they get posted about you enjoying these streams. That's another reason that I get very excited to like keep going and keep moving forward, because if people are getting something out of it, even better, as opposed to me just talking to a camera and doing it. But it's all motivation, and Lord knows it's taken me a while to get motivated and prepped to be able to do this on stream. So yeah, inking today. Yes, we are inking today. So excited. It'll be really fun. So let me get into it, and let me figure out. Let me make sure I have all that I need to do. And I was even thinking like, well, I mean, I will probably be talking for most of the time, but I was even had set up of like, oh, maybe I could like watch another stream while I'm inking. Because part of the time I'll just be focused and concentrating. I don't know. All these options. But yeah, let me move my keyboard out of the way. Oh. I didn't think about where I could place my keyboard. I have even like a Bluetooth mouse so that I can move it. If you guys saw this side of what I was seeing, it looks relatively clean in the back. But if you saw this side, you would be horrified because my supplies are all craziness. But let me show you guys where I'm at right now and where I got, or how I got to where we are. So check it out. All right, this is cool. So what I did was I photocopied the, for those of you, I think Mr. Dragon and Adam, both of you guys have been here, at least from the get-go of this Master Study series. So as you know, and just for those of you who don't know, I've been studying, my attempt is to copy a page of a comic book artist that I respect and admire and want to learn from, and look at like an example of one of their page and kind of duplicate that myself from scratch, from like blank page to finish inks, so that I can learn in the process why they made the certain choices they did, both in composition, angle choice, paneling, and then even down to the finishes. And hopefully in that process learn a lot about the comic book making process and also what resonates with me. So these artists, as I look at them, and the study will grow beyond, starting here with Mike ZECK, but the artists that I try and do master studies for are all artists that I really love. They're like in my top echelon of favorite comic book artists. And so not only just as a fan, but also like, hey, I want to learn from what they're doing and hopefully inject some of that into my own work. So the first artist I started with was Mike ZECK, and Mr. Dragon says, I'm going to be here but won't chat because I'm doing leftover summer homework. No problem, man. Hey, that's great. I'm just glad that you are here. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's my understanding that the blue didn't show up if you copied it. So, great question. I have the original here. Actually, I made a copy of the original. So let me get to a wider view. All right. So, and at any time you guys need me to repeat something or can't hear my audio, please let me know. So this was as I was roughing out the page, I got a page of Strathmore Bristol, and in this particular case, I got a pad that had the blue lines already printed out to it. It's made for comic book making, which is awesome. And then I reproduced this page as best as I could here. So I was using the blue pencil. It actually is not non-photo blue. It's just a regular blue color ace pencil. I used two of those color ace pencils. Color Ace Blue and Color Ace Tuscan Red. They do have a specific non-photo blue, which I'll get into in a second, but I like the blue color. Non-photo blue is a little bit too light blue for me. And I think that is what literally doesn't reproduce if you photocopy it at 0%, not 0%, 100% lightness. And like 1-for-1, if you try and photocopy a non-photo blue, it won't reproduce on a Xerox machine. But the blue, the straight up blue Color Ace will show up. And I like it because it's a little bit darker blue, and I like the shade of blue, and I like the softness of the lead too. I mentioned it last stream. I've noticed that the different Color Ace pencils have different softnesses in them, and that's why I kind of move around or change depending on how much I work a page, or if I'm not feeling it in certain color. Maybe sometimes it's just a color thing when I'm not feeling it when I'm drawing a page, so I'll switch. So in this particular page, I bounced back and forth between the regular blue and the Tuscan red, which are two of my favorite Colorase colors. For your own work, just pick whatever color feels good for you, that you feel comfortable. I know some people that used greens, some people even that used a different red, not Tuscan red, which is a little bit not as saturated as a straight up red. I think there might be like a carmine red. There's all sorts of colors for Colorase. So I would just say, I would recommend just pick the color that you're most comfortable with, that you like the way it feels. I know as a young artist, I would always start and just copy what other people are doing. I'm like, well, they use Tuscan red. I'm going to use Tuscan red. Maybe I can get some of that juju that they are like really good at, but it really is just a preference thing. And a lot of these things, as I get into, I'll talk about like the brushes I picked and the inks. It's all just kind of like whatever helps you and serves as a tool to get the job done. I would go with that. For sure, take recommendations, research best materials, because there's a lot of people that have gone before you and kind of figured these things out. But at the end of the day, if you're not feeling it, it doesn't matter. It's really about what you're comfortable with. Adam says, I've used the light blue, but it's very soft. I still do most of my drawing with MH. There you go. See, so yeah, I feel the same way about non-photo blue. It's a little too light and it's too soft. Probably why it is too light. And so yeah, it just works differently. And working in straight graphite is totally legit too. So whatever works for you. So so the awesome thing is I don't live too far away from a FedEx Kinko's, and that's a crucial thing for somebody like me, where I know a lot of professional comic book artists own their own oversized printer. They're not too expensive, maybe like in the $400 range, which, I mean, that's pretty pricey for a printer, but for an oversized printer, to have that at your access is pretty awesome. So eventually I would love if I start producing my own comic book regularly, eventually I would love to invest in one of those printers myself. However, in the startup where I'm at right now, where, you know, this is all just kind of my own time and money investing into it with no return, I got to rely on like a place where I can print things oversized. Like I have a regular printer, but there's no way I could print an 11 by 17 page, let alone an 11 by 17 Bristol page. So that's the other thing. Especially, definitely in pencils, but especially when you get into inks, you want to be inking. Wow. Excuse me. You want to be inking on a thicker Bristol. And there's a million different options with Bristol. Thickness of Bristol, grade of Bristol, finish of Bristol. So this Strathmore that I started drawing on, let me find those pads. Hold on one second. So I showed these last time. These pads. The one that I penciled on was this pad. And it's relatively affordable. I don't know you can get it on Amazon. Strathmore Bristol. It's a smooth. This is the one that's lined already. It has the marks for comic book creation. And it's a 200 series, which is the weight of the paper. I don't know. I think you can go as high as, I want to say 500 for paper. So this is 200 smooth, and I like the thickness of it. And I assume that because they are marketing this towards comic artists specifically, that this is a relatively, you know, common thickness, a good thickness for doing pencils to inks. And that's part of what I'm doing this too, is also like trying out the supplies to see what works. Because again, just like the Colorase pencils, as I will be talking about the brushes, paper also, I feel like everybody has different recommendations for paper, and you just got to do what works for you for the kind of style art that works for you with the tools that works for you. So far so good. The pencils that I did on this paper felt really good, and I like it. And I love that these already have the markings on here. So I have this, and then I also bought this pad of regular Bristol, also Strathmore. And so definitely keep in mind the brand of papers that you buy, because you want somewhat of a consistency. So if I'm looking for a smooth Bristol and I know that I like the one by Strathmore with those comic book lines already printed on it, and say I want a blank page with no lines, I was looking for Strathmore as well. This one is a 300 series, so it's a little thicker than the 200 series, but it's also a smooth finish. So it feels really similar to those, but it just doesn't have any of those comic lines. So why did I get this pad? I will show you in a minute. One of the things that... Oh! Hang on a second. Let me catch up in the chat. Adam says, do you have a comic idea you'd start working on? Yes, I do. And I am. I am in the writing phase right now of that idea. This is an idea I've had for a long time. It's kind of evolved as time goes on, as time has gone on. But yes, I have a few ideas, but this is the one that I'm writing now right now is it's in writing phase. Also, Adam says, also, if you worked on your own comic on stream, would you share the dialogue or would you just show it all as you go? That's a good question. I always wonder that myself. I don't know how much people show. It's like, I know a lot of people don't like to spoil, they want people who actually buy the comic to get something that the whole world hasn't already seen, like whether it's on stream or that you share on social media, the pages of. So yeah, I've got to figure out that rhythm and talk to other creators who've done it, because I know like Shanth, for example, he's actually painted literal pages that are in his book, Nosfera the Cryptwalker, on stream. And he was pretty conscious about not showing all the pages until the final printed thing was out there. So yeah, I think there's this balance that you have to do. I think that if somebody saw all pages of your comic book and you created it all on stream all the way to finish, would that stop them from buying the book? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so. I think showing as much of the process is so fascinating. Even now, as I'm working on something that is not my own creation, people are responding to it in a really positive way. And I think with YouTube, just seeing people create things and how they do it is a huge draw. Like, people just love to watch people make things and create things. We inherently love to see something created from nothing and watch it appear before our eyes. I love seeing that. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be a balance, Adam, but that's a great question. And now, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969, how are you doing? Check it out, man. This is for you, dude. Oh, wait. Wrong one. I labeled it wrong. My bad. That's for you, Mr. Monkey Boy. I totally ruined it by hitting the wrong one. I was thinking Mr. Monkey Boy, but I clicked on my MMO sound effect, which kind of, I don't know. Here you go. One more time. I was thinking about you when I was creating that, and I know that you love French bande dessinée, and you're always hounding me to see new ones, so that's the impetus of that sound effects. What is up? Shanthan Jetty Art is here again. How you doing, man? Who knew that you pop into day streams way more than you do night streams? That's because night streams, you're doing your own stream, but how are you doing, man? You know what? I gotta make a sound effect for you, Shanth. Of all the people in the world, you need the most glorious one. So you're gonna be next on my roster. Good to see you, Shanth. Everybody's saying hello. So cool. All right. So I talked about Bristol. Okay. So going back to the process, once I finished penciling this, and you guys saw that, this is kind of where I ended up. And I wasn't sure how, without having my own oversized printer, how I was going to get this copied, printed, whatever. And I know a lot of you guys were like, just ink straight on the pencils. So I was prepared to do that, but also I am also, I don't know. I also like to like, protect myself in case I screw up, because I'm totally expecting myself to screw up, and I still can't get over the idea of original, or for like original inks being right on the original pencils like that. Yeah, I don't know how people do that, because then you just lose all the pencils, right? So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos of professional inkers who they would take in the scans of the penciled artwork, whether those scans were of drawn pencils or they were scans of digital, or the digital file of somebody who's digitally penciling, and their process of making it non-photo blue to print out and then ink on top of that. So there's tons of videos out there, and again, people have different processes, and so I found a couple, and so the way that I did it was, you go to Kinko's and they have their oversized printers there, and I scanned it one for one on their printer. It scans onto a USB, brought it home, took it into Photoshop, and then did the treatment to make it non-photo blue. And so that's how I came up with this. And then I took it back to Kinko's and I printed it on some of their stock cardstock, which I felt it, and actually it wasn't bad. I think it's pretty similar to the Strathmore thickness. It might be a little less. I didn't ask them, and next time I go in, I'll ask them if they know how many pound their paper is. But it had a smooth finish on it. So I tried it out, and I was like, okay, that's great that I have that option that I can print on cardstock at Kinko's at an 11 by 17 size, which is what this is. But then I had in my mind, I'm like, I wonder if I could print with the blank Bristol, because then I'll know exactly the paper quality that I'm printing on. And it wouldn't, because sometimes with stock paper from a copy company, you don't know what kind of stock it is, what it's for. It's not made necessarily for inking. It's just to be a thicker cardstock. So you really don't know. So I brought in that pad and I tore out pages and I hand fed it into their oversized printer, and then pressed print from my digital file, which this was, where all the colors were changed to this quote unquote non-photo blue level. And I printed on the cardstock, and here it is. And it printed out perfectly, which is really exciting. After that happened, I was like, and maybe everybody knew this already, but after that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. This is going to work. So now that I am able to get a non-photo blue version of my pencils photocopied onto the cardstock of my choice, which is this Strathmore 300 series smooth finish, now I can just ink however the heck I want. And I actually printed out a few copies of this just in case I screw up one. And then once I ink it, then there's a whole process that you rescan it in and you level out the blues. You select all the blues and level out. And they have YouTube videos of people doing this and the whole process of it. So to answer, long answer to your question, Adam, that is the process that I'm going through. So I don't lose the pencils, but I have a copy that is non-photo blue that I can ink over and then totally take out all the pencils afterwards. So that's what I'm going to try with this. Maybe it won't work. Maybe I'll realize, you know what? I should ink straight on the pencils and not worry about it. But this will be what I'll do for this page. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be learning this whole process with you guys just as you're learning and watching me. So yeah, it'll be a huge adventure. But again, I'm super excited that, I was fully expecting a printout and a copy from Kinko's to like not scan properly, to like print it out off size, to not take the paper well, but it was like beautiful, perfect. So I'm like, I literally live 5 minutes away from a Kinko's. I don't even need to invest in printer right now. I can just run there whenever I need another print and do it pretty quickly. And relatively affordably too. It wasn't that expensive at all. I think to print an oversized page on whatever stock was like $1.50 or something like that. So it's pretty awesome. Just use copy paper after all that. Yeah. Share as you go and save the ending. That's what Shanthan Jetty Art says about creating a comic book on stream. So yeah, I think that's that's great advice right there, because it gives something for the people that buy it and back the book, something to look forward to, and something different than, or something that's exclusive to them, like actually supporting the book. Sound effects muted. Oh, dang. Oh, all right. After all that, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had this stuff figured out. Exclusive to them, like actually supporting the book. Oh, wait. That's a problem. That was... Okay, I don't need to see that. All right, sorry. And this is why I have the chat. And all right, now, Mr. Monkey Boy. Wow, that was like 20 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Here we go. Do you hear that? Please tell me you heard that. It doesn't matter if I make Shantha a sound effect. He wouldn't be able to hear it because I'm so technically challenged. Okay, let me know if you guys heard that. Groomsman wins the Kinko's Marathon. Yes. The Kinko's Marathon definitely... it was... Kinko's was like the place to go when we were in college. Not just for college assignments, but for like our own comic book making stuff. And the awesome thing was, at least the Kinko's at the time when we were there was open 24 hours. So you could go whenever you wanted to print whatever you wanted. And we would like cordon off like several machines, like just squat on them and just be printing stuff. And there was nothing better than having like a stack of your drawings printed. I would be so anal about like, oh, that has a little like mark on it from the printer. It's not totally clean. I want one that has like clean inks in it and stuff. So it's really fun. It like taps into something. There's something about sitting at a copier machine at a Kinko's and like doing like prep. I love it. Didn't hear it still. What? How is that possible? How come I can hear it in my ears and you guys can't hear it? Yeah, okay, I don't see it. Sean says, just ink. We can do sound effects later. It's true. Dang, that's frustrating. Ecamm. That's really frustrating. It was working just before. I promise you guys. All right, I'm gonna start getting to the ink though. No. It's not loop back audio. No. I don't know. All right, we'll worry about that later. So disappointed. So disappointed. All right. Okay. Whew. Where were we? All right. So we've got this. And so supplies. All right. So what did I get for supplies? I knew that my desk is kind of at an angle here. And I have the ability to like rotate it up and down. And I like it at a slight angle because I don't want to be hunched over my desk for my back. So, but I also know that if I had it at a slight angle, my brushes would like roll all over the place. So I bought this, this was kind of cool, little thing. It's actually a kitchen like to hold spatulas and spoons as you're cooking. I saw somebody was selling like a fancy like brush holder. It was really fancy, but it was like super expensive. And I bought this for like $4. But it's silicone, which is nice. It'll clean easier. And it totally works for like brushes where you just kind of place them up there, holds them up. If they drip, they'll drip on this silicone. Totally works. So yeah, that was kind of a cool little thing. Oh wait, Katie's here. What's up, Katie? How are you doing? Good evening? Is it good evening? Katie's in the UK, so how are you doing? Good to see you. Emo Trash coming in here. Never noticed your notification. No problem, Emo Trash. I'm having a problem with my sound effects though, so no worries. I'm also assuming that you were in Gothic's chat, so no problem. But glad to see you here. You're the first of the Gothixers, I think, that are here. Or maybe not the first, but glad to see you here. And Mr. Dragon says he's done with his homework, so he's able to chat, which is awesome. Okay, so I got this thing. I got one of the inks that I did get. A lot of people have opinion on inks. I'm just going to try out a bunch of different ones. I'd mentioned last stream that the Kohinoor ink, I think Ultra Draw ink, was one that a lot of inkers, professional inkers, said that they used. I ordered it. It won't get here till next week. But I did order this ink, which is Winsor Newton Black Indian ink. I've heard mixed reviews about this. Some people really like it. And the things that people comment on as far as inks are, how does it lay down? Does it lay down flat or is it like gummy? Does it have a gloss to it? Is it matte? How quickly does it dry? Is it waterproof? Is it solid, the blacks that you lay down, or do you have to go over it a few times? So there's all these different factors. Again, I won't know until I just try it to see which inks I like. And also, how does that ink sit with the brush or the tool that you use? So some people that really like a certain kind of ink, like I know the Kohinoor Ultra Draw ink that a lot of people talk about, most of those people that recommend that ink use nibs. I myself will probably favor using brushes more than nibs, depending on what I'm doing. But yeah, I like inking with brushes more. So who knows if the ink quality is going to be the same and the recommendations will be the same. But I did order this one because enough people talked about it. And also, there's a couple artists that said that this bottle, whether or not you use the ink, this bottle is a great bottle to have because of the size, how it sits in your hand, and also it's wider on the bottom, so it doesn't tip over as much. And in my experience, I've had many accidents where I've accidentally bumped my bottle and it's knocked over really easily because it was either precarious or shaped very easily to get knocked over. So yeah, I got this. If I hate the ink, I'll just empty it out and refill it with the ink I do like. So that's the reason I got that. But it is the only ink that I have right now. So I'm like, all right, we'll just try out the Winsor Newton ink. Then I got this little, it's actually a sake cup. And this one I got because it's white on the inside. So I can just put a little ink in here without having to dip straight into the whole bottle all the time. And I can see how much ink I have because the container is white. I like that it's ceramic. I got this at Daiso for like $2 or something, or maybe even less than that. But I like that it's ceramic, so it'll make it really easy to clean as opposed to like something that's plastic. And I love the size and I love the feel. It also has kind of a weighted feel, so it'll sit nicely, and it sits in my hand really nice. So yeah, I'm gonna try that out. And then I got the Rolls Royce of brushes for comic book inking, which is the Winsor Newton, I think guys can't see that. I can't hold it up so close. The Winsor Newton Series 7 round. This is the number 2 size. So I'd say about 85 to 90% of inkers that I've looked up, that I admire, love their work, recommend this brush. And I have a couple comments on that as we get into this. But so yeah, I was like, okay, I'm plunking down the money. It's one of the more expensive brushes out there. But if it's good, it's going to be worth it. And so I ordered it and it came. I did wrap some tape. It's like medical tape or whatever around it because the grip is a little small. So I tend to like a little bit of a thicker grip up here. So I wrap some tape. I've seen some people do that. I also have seen people use those pencil holders and get those on here, which I'll probably do. So yeah, but I feel like you need some sort of grip up here to help you out if you like your grip. And then I have a couple other brushes that are different sizes. This is a 0.2 Blick it's called a Master Stroke sable brush as well. But the 0.2 is a lot more pointed than, as you can see, the Winsor Newton. Like, look how thick that frays out. Once I get water on it, obviously I can get it to a point. But look how fat this is compared to this point. So I actually liked how this one felt too. And then I got another one that is from, I think this was like a $2 Hobby Lobby brush. It's also considered a 0.2, but look how different. So I don't know if I am reading the wrong kind, or everybody has different size requirements for, these are all considered 0.2s. But I just want to try it out. This one, as you can see, has a thicker base, so I don't need to do any modifications on that. But these are all sable brushes, round brushes. And these two here are way cheaper than this brush, which is a little ironic, and I'll talk about that in a second. All right, so those are the 3 brushes I'm going to try today. I do have another brush, which I think is a 4 size, which is bigger. The bigger the number, the bigger the brush. But I feel like, as I was just doing some practice inking last night on here, just like strokes to see how it feels, how each one of these brushes feels, I feel like I'm going to need a smaller brush than a 2. But it depends on how thin I can get that point once it's wet, once it has ink on it. Some of these brushes, I don't know if you can see, I could get super thin. Like, look at these lines here with a number 2. So it really depends on the sable, the quality of the brush, and then you can get some nice thick and thin lines here with that. And just with these tests, I really like the ink, actually. It's pretty flat and matte. I used to work with an ink, I think it was Pelican ink when I was in college. And maybe it was the kind of ink that I had, but I remember it being really gummy and kind of glossy. But I was using nibs when I was doing some comic inking in college. So yeah, this is all new to me. But from the test that I did last night, it feels really nice, really flat. It might be not, I'm assuming, well, it might not be as dark as some people like it for like reproductions, but who knows? We'll see. All right. And then last few things, I got this dropper, which just a regular plastic dropper that I'm going to pull some of the ink out of here and put it in the container. I have this water container, which is a brush water container. It has a little lid here with, I don't want to tilt it too much, but it has a lid here with a slanted slope. So anything that as you like clean your brush off here, the liquid will just kind of go in there. It has like a little lid, which I like. So I filled that up with water to clean my brush. I also have a brush cleaner that people use that I'll do at the end of my inking today. And then I'm also trying out these Pitt artist pens. A lot of artists recommend these pens. I know people use microns as well. I will try those out. But these I found relatively affordable. A lot of people recommended these. So these are for like straight lines, panel borders, anything that I want to use like a hard Pentel, not brushy line on, I'll probably use this. I don't think I'm going to try any nib inking on this particular page. Who knows? I'm going to try most of it with brush first, and then we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Sorry, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think I am. Okay. All right. So yeah, there we go. All right. So where do we? Let me just catch up in the chat, and then we'll get into it. So exciting. Katie says it's 7 p.m. there right now. Oh, okay, perfect. So 1 p.m. where Mr. Dragon is. 12:01. So you're in the central time zone. Might be drifting between, she's talking gun control. A little bit different than inking, but cool. Yeah, flip between those. That's fine by me. What is it where you are live? It is 11. I'm on the West Coast, Pacific Standard Time. So it's 11:20 right now, Mr. Dragon. Gummy ink sounds yummy. You know, that ink that I used in college, it did have a certain smell to it. Like I could recognize that smell, and I enjoyed it. I didn't eat it, but I enjoyed it. Bumping bottles. Say potato out with the potatoes. What? Adam says bust out the nib if you need it. Microns are cheap and just the best. Yeah, a lot of people love microns, and they have a million different sizes for them. I know they even have brush microns too. Many of the comic book artists that I like, some of them just ink straight with pens, or I've seen those brushes, those brush pens that have cartridges, or people even use those brush wash pens and like dip. They have different washes that they dip their pens in. So everybody has their own techniques. And like I'd mentioned at the get-go, I think it's more of like, what are you comfortable with? What works for you? Because your hand control is different than my hand control. Your feel for the page is different than mine. What you want to see is different than me. So I think for sure get recommendations from people, but at the end of the day, it's what works for you. Okay, let's get going. Oh, and then I put a little paper towel here that I can wipe my brushes. I got a little rag here for wiping my hands. Yeah, I got my water for drinking because I talk too much. Whoa. And maybe as I do this too, I will probably zoom in to some parts of the pages so that whatever page I'm working on. I am kind of bummed that my sound effects aren't working. Spent all this time getting the trailers in and this morning, and for you guys not to hear them is really a bummer. And then it's not a great way for a stream to start, because for people who are joining in late, they're going to watch that and go like, wait, there's no sound? I'm not going to watch this. So that kind of sucks. All right, my watch keeps... I'm going to have to mute. Or focus mode, as they say on Apple stuff. Alrighty, so I'm going to wet my brushes a little bit in water first, and then so like that. So one thing I've noticed playing around with this Winsor Newton just last night is it does feel thicker and harder to get to a point than these cheaper brushes that I have. But the quality is really smooth. It does take ink very well. But I was surprised because I was just expecting like it to be super pointed. So I'm gonna do where did I put this? I'm gonna do some practice just to make sure before I hit the page. See, like that's really thick. And I want it to be a lot more pointed. That's why I feel like I need either a smaller brush from the get-go, or I just don't like this brush. Which is surprising, right? It's like this has happened to me a number of times, not just with brushes, but with whatever tech equipment or anything that people like recommend like crazy. They're like, this is it. This is the best quality thing. I'm gonna move these over here. And then you try it out, and your expectations are so high. See, and then like I don't know if you guys can see it. Probably not. Let me see. Can you see that like piece of hair already fraying out at the top? It should not do that. So full disclosure, I'm actually gonna return this brush because it's not cheap. I'm gonna return this brush, and I'm actually waiting for a replacement. So I'm just saying maybe I got a bum brush. I mean, it feels really nice, really smooth, but there's certain things about it I'm like, this feels too thick. I don't know if I'm not doing it right. See? Look at that. Man, Jonathan Day, that point is off, right? So, Mr. Monkey Boy says, anyone hear a Carly Simon song? Okay, that's frightening. See, Sean says that brush is not right. So I'm waiting for the replacement to come. What's up, Mark's Music Obsession? I would play you a sound effect, but apparently it is not coming through. Oh! Wait a minute. Is that right? Nope. Yeah, I don't see it coming through. I don't see it coming through, which is really crazy. Kind of, I'm getting distracted again. Yeah, I don't see it coming through. Wait. No, now see, there's an echo. Hello? Yeah, that's not good. All right, I'm not gonna mess with it. Sorry, Mark, but good to see you. I heard no notification. I'm sorry about that. But hopefully the closed captioning is working for you. Let me know. For your mom. Well, the brush microns are way too thin and light. I'm going to use an ink pen brush. I'd use the Pentel Pocket. I've heard of that one too. I'll have to check that one out. But Sean says that brush is not right, so I will maybe not move on with that brush right now. I will move with this one. Is this the number 2 on this one? Yeah. All right. See, this is the kind of point I want. I just felt like I was getting like a number 4, not a number 2 on that brush. It shouldn't do that, right? You're paying so much money that if it's the Rolls Royce of brushes, it shouldn't fray out like that. I do feel like as not great as that brush is, it does hold ink very well and it lays it down really flat. But this is a nice point. So I'm going to go with this. We're going to try with this, guys. John says hi from Gothic's chat. Maybe he'll jump. No, CC, what the heck is going on? Everything's falling apart. I don't know. I'm sorry, Mark. I could have sworn. It's the gremlins today. Emo Tresh says he has Gothic's half volume. Sounds like y'all are in the same volume. I never realized you were so quiet. I mean, I can make myself louder. I could. I think. Oh, no. See, you guys are getting me distracted with all the... how's this? Is that better? Getting distracted with all the tech stuff. Okay. Is that better? Now that sounds too loud for me. But I can turn myself down in my own ears. So let me know if that's better. Wait. I'm totally getting distracted. I blame you guys. This is... yeah, I think that's right. Hopefully that's not too loud. Sean says no matter what the size, a round brush should come to point. Yep, I agree with you. That's why it was so shocking for me that that wasn't working. So we'll get it figured out, but that's part of the process. But let's start with this brush first. Let's get going. Let's get inked paper. So I'm keeping old original ZECK here next to me so that I can reference. But let me just pick a juicy. I'm like so nervous and so excited at the same time. I think I just got to get the first mark down, and then it'll all start flowing from there. That feels so great. I love it. And if I get quiet for a second, it's because I'm going to be in the zone. Got to lock in creatively and focus on what I'm doing. And actually streaming is the worst thing because there's so many distractions, as you guys can see. So many distractions, and I get distracted easily, like I'd mentioned last stream about audio things. Kind of an audio nerd a little bit. Not super nerdy, but enough that I like to figure things out. And the funny thing too is this brush I'm using right now is $2 brush or whatever, and it's operating better than that Winsor Newton. I remember the supplies I'd use in college were really cheapo. I would use anything because I was broke. So I would get like those like party packs of brushes at like the craft store or whatever. It would be like econo pack of brushes, and I would just use whatever to make my marks. Maybe that's why that stuff didn't look so good. Wow, this is hard. I'm gonna switch to that second brush just to try it out and see. One of the things you'll learn too, depending on what hand is your dominant hand, like, and what curve I notice for myself, like when I want to hit a certain kind of curve, the natural rotation of my wrist, I will turn the paper to kind of work with that. So like in this case, I wanted the curve to be convex on this way. So I rotated the page so that I can get that curve here. Because if I was trying to do that curve this way, I'd be fighting with the natural angle of that. Why did I pick this section first? I guess because it's central, but oh, I can zoom in too. Let me zoom in. It's so tiny, it looks like I'm not doing anything. This? Yeah. There we go. Emotress says, I'm here to derail you. Yep. And my volume is fine, just never realized how low you speak in comparison to her. Can't provide funds for an additional brush on Rocky's channel just yet. Oh, Mark. You're the best. Not as fancy as Shant. You did it. You guys witnessed the very first mark. That's it. I'm done. Stream's over. Party pack of brushes. Hey, you want to come up and see my brushes? Shows I just received a notification, but it did not pop on my phone like it normally does. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, let me try this other brush. And always the first dip into the water just to like moisten the bristles and get it to a point. But then you also want to make sure there's not a lot of water you're bringing into when you dip it in the ink. So, but immediately I noticed with this brush, like it got to a point fast. Wow. I gotta work on my hand control. I am out of practice. I can tell I'm being really hesitant too, like not confident with the stroke yet. So I feel like I need more light. I don't wear reading glasses yet. Kind of been staving that off. But I can imagine that's not going to be great for stuff like this. And then I also bought one of the supplies I bought was a white, like a, I don't know what they call it, drawing white, to be able to cut back into some of these black areas that I need to clean up. And I can already see spaces that I want to do. I literally put down like 5 marks and I'm like, I want to correct that now. So I think as I build up more confidence, I won't be so worried about that. But right now I'm being super tentative. That's okay. That's why we're doing this. You don't have to be so precious with it. I think as important as learning the art techniques be to learn how to not be so precious with the art itself. Because like how much time do people spend looking at this in a comic book? A lot less time than it takes to make it. So, I mean, in this particular case, I've been staring and I pore over these pages. So there's, you want to provide good enough quality that people can appreciate it. But there is also a fine balance where I'm not painting the Louvre here. Comrade Sammy says, don't judge me, I just woke up. What's up, Comrade Sammy? This is the first time I think I've ever heard you talk about sleep. But I love it that you're here. Good afternoon? Yeah. Emo Tresh says she was up till about after 3 trying to draw the perfect expression on one of my characters to make him sob his eyes out, and I say I succeeded. Were you looking in the mirror at 3 in the morning? Because I'd be sobbing my eyes out if it was that late. Comrade Sammy says, don't usually sleep in this late, but I stayed up till 6 a.m. last night. See, I was just having this conversation with my wife, and I was like, I really cannot, as much as everybody tells me what time zones they're on, I can't, I don't understand how it works. I don't know how these people's schedules work, because if I were to track every time I see you all and what time it is in your time zone, that doesn't make sense for any kind of normal sleep schedule whatsoever. Oops. It's so funny, like just looking at and comparing the inks. Um, there's definitely like a different brain, different eye you have on as a penciler when you're doing a master copy versus as an inker. I think you're more hyper focused as an inker about how things connect and number of strokes and number of hatch marks or whatever. And then the penciler, you're just like, blah, 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 you know, sort of this area here. But I'm realizing how much stuff I missed when I was penciling this page. John says hi to you as well, Comrade Sammy, by proxy. Damn, I beat Rocky to the reading glasses at the ripe old age of 13. Really? Wow. That's really young. 3 weeks. Sean's counting down. For you guys who don't know, please check out my brother Sean's second chance campaign for his book Nosfero the Crypt Walker. He's doing 2 new versions. Second chance campaign version and also an artist edition. Holy moly, I'm very excited about that, where there's no dialogue, it's just all art reproduced in all its glory. Speaking of artist editions, I sent this link to Shant yesterday. They are doing an artist edition of Jason Pearson's Body Bags. Holy cow, who ever thought that would happen? That's one of my favorite pieces of comic work that Jason Pearson has ever done. It's so explosive and high impact and incredible, pretty dark, pretty violent, but man, is it well executed. And Scott Dunbier, who does most of the artist edition comic books, for most of the ones that I own, definitely, he's been the editor-in-chief for those. He just announced during Comic-Con that he's starting his own company called, I think it's 4? Something like that. And he announced what he's producing first line. And that Body Bags artist edition is going to be one of them. So I am going to be waiting with bated breath for that to come out because it's going to be amazing. I've always wanted to see those originals. I've seen some scans online, and I'm actually surprised that Scott Dunbier is able to get the whole book. Like, I had no idea that somebody had all of that art. or at least scans of all that art available. I was under the impression that like just bits and pieces of that book were out there. But but yeah, that should be amazing. And they even mentioned that they're hoping to honor what people had contributed. Sorry, really quick. Look how thin I was able to get right there with this brush, this $2 brush. Pretty awesome. Is it a perfect smooth brush? Not yet that I can figure out, but that probably is me as opposed to the brush. But that's the kind of point that I want to be able to get, variation in point. I will say that I can see, and I don't know if it's because I haven't loaded up my brush properly. I know some people use different brushes to fill in their blacks. So I might get, so they're not wasting the good brush just to do huge swaths of black ink. I've seen some artists, some inkers use Q-tips even to do like big areas of black. Blah, that was a horrible curve. Man. One thing this exercise is teaching me is I am way out of practice. But I love this. I love this. This is like home for me as an artist. Yeah, so that this is an area where I kind of screwed up the proportions, so I'm going to have to fudge it a little bit. Oh yeah, so they were saying, back to that Jason Pearson thing, they were saying that they're aware, and they're working with a guy who was one of Pearson's buddies, and I think he's a writer. He's got a company called 12 Gauge Comics. They did that book, The Ride, which I picked up at a used bookstore a few weeks ago. But I know he was a good friend of Jason Pearson's, and I think he was even involved in helping him when Jason Pearson was trying to do a Kickstarter campaign. So they mentioned in the announcement that they're even trying to honor the people that backed Jason for that Kickstarter campaign somehow through this new campaign, because nothing ever happened. I don't know how much money it was. I can't remember, but pretty much Jason never produced what he said he would, and then he passed away before anything got done. So that's the risk with crowdfunding, but it's really nice for them to acknowledge that and say that they're going to try and, I don't know what they would do, like put some of the money you put that to the book or to the cost of the book for you, or man, I love that. That is so fun. All right, let me catch up in the chat. Wow, this looks so different on screen than it does in person. Interesting. Barrel roll it in on the paper towel without pressing down for a point. Yeah, totally. Let me... little twist to get that point. I'm liking this brush, this $2 guy. I'm hoping that my replacement Winsor Newton will be better, and if it's not, I'm going to return it. Why spend, I think it was like a $25 brush or whatever. Why spend that much money on a brush that's not working for you? Even though everybody says it's great. I was looking on Winsor Newton's site too. I was like, did I get the right number, Series 7? Or maybe, wow, look at that point. So yeah, I was a little confused, but it's okay. We will figure it out. Where's this guy's? He has to have. What book was I looking at recently? I think it was Death of Superman. If you guys go back and look at Death of Superman, the artists were drawing some major discs on whole soups, and I was surprised. I was like, "Wow, you're really calling that out there." It's really weird. Emo Trash is funny. I didn't use any references really because I couldn't find specifically what I wanted, so I just sketched out on like 3 different post-it notes till I finally got the mood I wanted. Awesome. Yeah, post-it notes are an artist's friend. We would use post-it notes constantly on storyboards, correction drawings, on animation drawings. We even got like really fancy where we would use different colored post-it notes for different kind of things. I love post-it notes. Maybe I should have drawn my borders first. Oh well. Who knows? I think I've seen inkers do that. They like punch the borders in there first before they start inking the figures. Does it matter? Nah. Just doing it. Part of the process is overthinking everything. These subtle hatch lines here. Mine are a lot more wobbly than John Beatty's, who inked this original page, but no. Alright, let's get into this hand with the gun. I don't have a circle template. That's one thing I need to invest in, but this is actually not a perfect circle too. It's more of an oval, so I might just freehand it. But who knows? It'll be an adventure. Emo Trash says, I got double cataract surgeries when I was 13, so my glasses make up for what? The replacement. Oh man, sorry to hear that. Yeah, some people just get the short end of the genetic stick when it comes to eyes. On my dad's side of the family, there tends to be bad eyesight. My mom, not so much. And a lot of my cousins on my dad's side, they all had like crazy eye issues. Fortunately, my eyes are have been stable since I've gotten older. But I know that reading glasses will be inevitable. But I've been holding it off. My prescription has stayed pretty stable for, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years. Oh, I love that. It's a little thing I love about brushes, and you can do this with nibs for sure, but definitely with brushes, like the thick and thin. Maybe that appeals to the animator side of me, but that thick and thin, that like organic feel to the line, where they add thickness for either volume or lighting, to imply lighting. So like underneath this thumb right here, this thickness, because there's a shadow to separate his thumb from the palm. So beautiful. Also, I figured out that the fan sound from this computer is only when I'm running Ecamm. But then, like, if I'm just surfing the web or doing something else on this computer, it's totally quiet. So Ecamm must use some serious processing power for this. That causes it to think more. I can mostly see at a distance, but I can't see anything up close. That's like my wife. This is what it's about, brother. Mr. Monkey Boy says, "You do you. Just learning. I am. Rocky, my entire health record is shallow end of my gene pool." Think you do a jet? Woo, Adam. Dang, man. Jeff Darrow is on a different level of talent. And my brain does not work like Jeff Darrow's brain. However, that would be a fantastic test or study. Let me think about that. I don't think I could do Jeff Darrow with a brush. Actually, Shant might know, because I think Shant has watched... I know he's met Jeff Darrow in person or watched him draw in person. I don't think Jeff Darrow draws with brushes, but I could be wrong about that. But he has such a unique line quality in his stuff. It's almost like one line width for everything. And then he'll do thickness just to like separate things. But mostly one line width for a lot of his stuff. Wow, there's some really tiny strokes right here. 1, 2, 3 strokes. That's what I love about this master study. And it won't be greatest resolution because my camera is not it's not a top tier camera. One day I will definitely get to a point where I'll invest in even more better equipment. So yeah, it's not super clear, but these little strokes here, actually I'll go in. See those marks? Very, 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 very thin hatch marks. I didn't even notice them when I was penciling, but now that I'm at this inking phase, I see things like that. That's super exciting. So yeah, Jeff Darrow. You know, actually one person I was thinking of, Adam, was trying to do a master study of Mobius, which there was one page that I saw. I was like, wow, that would be a cool one to break down, but my goodness, that would be hard. And it looks like that one he inked using nibs. So that would force me to really work on my nib work. But maybe I could try doing that with a brush. Or I could do it with nibs. I don't know. I don't mind nibs. I just really like the brush line better. Like you look at artists like Dave Stevens, who are other artists that, I mean, like this Mike ZECK stuff, that these guys are like Kevin Nolan. I mean, Kevin Nolan uses nibs, but he uses a brush. Like Steve Rude, Gary Martin. Speaking of which, I have talked about this book before, and this is actually, I learned a lot about equipment and some techniques from this book. It was Gary Martin's comic book inking book. I've talked about it before on stream, and I think Shant would know, I think he just released a new edition of this, an updated edition. But let me pull out that book in a second after I get through his hand. But in it, Gary Martin, the awesome thing about this book, and they had never done something like this before, this is why this book was so great, and I got this book when I was in college, I think, was he got penciled pages from Steve Rude and got a bunch of his inking friends to take their pass on it, and then he showed what each inker did on the same penciled page. And that was amazing for me as an artist to see, because then you really saw like techniques, how people approach the same exact page, the same exact pencil page, and what they did differently. And all of those inkers were incredible inkers working in the industry, great at what they did, but they all approached it super different. You could see what they focused on, what techniques they used, how they approached lighting or didn't approach lighting. So yeah, it was really fun and helpful to see. And then you also, and for me, it was like I saw whose techniques I wanted to implement in my own work, and whose techniques I was like, well, that's great for them, but that's not really what works for me or what I want to do with my own work. And that's actually, to be honest, that's where I saw like, oh, I feel like I like brush inkers, that feel, that look. I want more of that in my work. Like one of the most incredible inkers of the image time was the image era, I should say, was Scott Williams. He was Jim Lee's inker, Will's Portacio's inker. He set the style for a lot of that image stuff, and he cranked it out, and he did it so well, and just was so influential. I loved all that Scott Williams did. But I realized too that I am not a Scott Williams kind of inker. It's not how my brain works. Somebody who does have that flair to their work and works in a similar vein is like Shelby, American Discord. He definitely has that like Scott Williams, Top Cow, Wildstorm kind of inking vibe to his stuff. I love how I haven't smeared any of the ink here. It would probably be even smarter if I went left to right, but this ink is drying pretty... for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this ink, the Winsor Newton ink. It's drying. Oh, that's a great idea. I know Dave Stevens looked at a lot of Wallywood stuff. That's a great idea. Adam says late Wallywood may be against terms of service for YouTube. Really? Oh, you mean like stuff that's not allowed? Good point. Yeah, I don't think I would do anything like it. But yeah, Wallywood, man, his ink line was... Whew, his brush ink line was beautiful. Now Gothics have an entire debate with an atheist in the background. This is beautiful. Totally different spectrums here. Will Eisner. Ooh, that would be daunting. That would be scary. That would be great. Wow, these are great suggestions. Will Eisner would be great. I have a spirit comet hanging on the wall. Yeah. Wow. You guys are just dropping it. I'm just trying to find a brush. You're telling me I need to ink Wallywood. I mentioned too when I was penciling this page that I won't be doing any of the like zipatone stuff that ZECK has here in the work. So I'm trying to decipher the inks off of the inks behind this, some of these areas that are in shadow. Just appreciate an artist that can draw a good fingernail. Fingernails sounds crazy, but when done right, they add a lot of dimension to hands. Because if they're not just like generically, please, see, like as I lean in, you guys tell me, not that I would notice, tell me, please tell me, definitely tell me if my head leans into frame and you see the top of it in the camera. I don't like that. I've seen that a few times. I've done that on stream a few times that I didn't notice until after the fact. You can see like my cowlick and the back of my head. That's not cool. Oh yeah, but a good fingernail gives you a lot of dimension. Can give you help with indicating dimension because of the curvature of like how the nail ends. Tells you which direction the finger is pointing. It gives it nice volume if it's done right. If it's just a square at the end of it, then it doesn't really help for anything. That's so fun. You. Oh my gosh, I saw this funny stream. I might, depending on how this stream goes, what time is it? 12. If it gets too quiet, I might put on another stream, like play somebody's stream while I'm doing this. I don't know. I'm a little worried about my sound issues. I don't want to complicate matters. But there was one stream I was just watching recently where Daniel Warren Johnson was working, and at one point he's drawing, and at one point you hear this knock 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 knock, and then you hear this scream, and it's his little daughter, and she was like crying, and then all of a sudden she like her voice disappears, and then you hear his wife go, "How much longer are you working on?" He's like, "Oh, not much longer, I'm almost done." And then the door shuts, and then he goes, "You don't know when." I forgot what the phrase. He was basically like, "It can all change on a dime, folks. I just want to let you know, it can all change on a dime." It was so funny. It was so real too. And then the whole time afterwards, he was like, "I think I gotta go. I gotta go now. I gotta go." And that's happened more than once on his stream. But it's so relatable and really funny. And it was just fun that it was just like in the middle of this like professional working on this really cool stuff. Life just tapped him on the shoulder and said, "You know what? You gotta be a dad right now." So this guy's got muscles on muscles. I have never been like a super, whoa, that was dangerous. Always remember to cap your bottles, close your caps. What was I saying? Oh, I've never been a super anatomy junkie. Like, oh, this is the trapezia blah blah blah, and this connects to the wada wada wada. I wish I was, because I know that makes you a better artist if you know how those things connect. And I know basic stuff, how things work, but I should get better in anatomy. I should study it more. But I always favor just like making it look cool, making it look believable and cool, over making it look super accurate. Does that make me lazy? Because I've seen some artists be like great with their anatomy, but then it's like boring and kind of stiff. And then some artists like, you know, the great Jack Kirby or whatever, like he screwed with anatomy all the time. He probably knew his anatomy really well, but he totally transformed it and made it more expressionistic and just cool. And some of his anatomy was wacky, tacky, but it's so iconic too. All right, I gotta concentrate doing this guy's face. Oh, actually, I do this shadow here first. Yeah, I don't know how much. Well, I think with this brush, go figure, I'm like really leaning heavily on this $2 brush. I think I can get small enough on that point for that eyeballs, because they are pretty tiny. I think I do need like a 0 brush eventually, but we'll see how far we can get with the 2. Mr. Monkey Boy says Mobius. Yep, I have a page picked out that I'm thinking about trying. It's scary. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of characters on the page, and it's a lot of sci-fi stuff, but it looks so cool. And I have it at scale too, so we'll see. Emo Trash says, I'm watching you peacefully ink your page here. She's almost completely clowning this AC assistant, making a lack of sense. Let me see if I can get, now that I'm looking at this, let me see if I can get, yeah, just wish I could get it a little sharper, but I think this is just the camera that I have on this particular overhead. Adam says, I wish I had the patience for ziptones. I mean, I think ziptones could be fun. But yeah, I almost would favor doing those digitally. That seems like something that would work better doing digitally as opposed to cutting the actual pieces out and laying them in. But I don't know. They look cool when they're done well. One could say it's a headshot. Nice. Did you see the Daniel Warren Johnson stream where his wife was like, are you live? You have a meeting in like 3. I think that's happened to him more than once, where he did not gauge time properly. I love it. I love that guy. He just won 2 Eisners too. I think it was like best writer or best artist, best creator, and best series for Transformers, and it's well deserved. As you guys know from my Wednesday comic streams, I'm a huge fan of his work. But I even more so am a fan of his work because of who he is. He just seems like a fun guy, really down to earth and relatable. Okay. Oops. I think I got too much loaded water on there. It's always the danger with cleaning a brush. Adding in water, like not having it dry enough once you add ink. No, I see it. My head is getting into camera. You guys didn't warn me. I don't like seeing my head so close. I love this. Speaking of like anatomy, the thing I love so much about ZECK is he does have command of anatomy. He does know how anatomy works, and he also knows how to exaggerate it to make it look awesome and exciting and dynamic. It's like that Marvel, how to draw comics the Marvel way kind of thing, mentality. It's a fine balance, you know. You can also get so stylized that it's not believable and looks, somebody won't sit down and go, wow, it's amazing. They'll just be like, oh, okay, it's somebody drawing a whatever stick figure. So yeah, those artists that can find that balance between realism and believability and stylization, exaggeration. This is very complicated lips. So it's got a highlight here, and it cuts back over here. Getting confused a little bit with the zip. He's got these hatch marks here. I photocopied this paper of the original page, but I'm definitely losing some resolution with what is going on. It's okay, it doesn't have to be super exact, does it? Woo! Oh, and Comrade Sammy, I was looking at some Fat Rat for audio options in the future, which my crazy audio is not even working that well right now, so it doesn't matter. But in the future, I was looking at Fat Rat, and the one thing I like Fat Rat stuff for like ambiance, it'll be great. But one thing that I noticed, a lot of his songs have vocals on it. Maybe I'm just not listening to the right ones. But sometimes I find for ambiance, you don't want any vocals. But hopefully in future streams, and those are free to use for streams. I looked it up. So hopefully for future streams, I can try and use some Fat Rat. Wow, there is some very, very microscopic hatching going on here in different directions. Puh. Adam says DWJ is his favorite right now. He's amazing. Also, if you read his stuff in order, it's really fun to watch him grow as a writer. Yeah, he's doing it right now, and he deserves all the success. He's not only a great, competent creator and artist, but he's very passionate, and I think the authenticity is really what makes his stuff sing for me. He's doing what he loves, and he's having a good time doing it. And he's like, I like wrestling, so I'm going to include that in my work. I like Transformers, and I like wrestling, so I'm going to make the Transformers do wrestling moves. I'm going to do a whole book about supernatural wrestling fights. So yeah, that passion, that authenticity goes so far, connects with people, builds a fan base. I think people can see through like creators or artists who are trying to be too smart for their own good or prove something. But if you're like just a diehard fan, oh, that's actually a fun thing. Actually, I might try and call it. But then if I do it, I'll get distracted too myself. But Richard Friend, he was just at Comic-Con, and he posted videos of himself walking around filming things, And one of the things that he loves to do and talk about is original comic art. And he himself is a working professional inker, been in the business a long time, inks some of the greatest. Wow, look how thin I can get this line. This is so fun. You're doing it, $2 brush, you're doing it. And so Richard Friend went to, I forgot what the booth was called. It's like panel page art, maybe? And he was just filming himself flipping through these original pages of art. Sorry, I'm getting quiet here because I gotta focus on getting this very tiny eyeball right. And he was just so authentic about, and he's worked with a lot of these artists. He knows these artists, but just his fandom of it was so awesome. He was like, wow, this is amazing, this looks incredible, as opposed to like, oh yes, I worked with so and so. And he was just really excited to see the original page of art. And I'm sure he has tons of original stuff of his own and of artists he's worked with who are incredible. But yeah, he was just so excited about it. It made me excited to see it, and I was just so grateful that he included us in that process. So he's going to be coming out with a creator-owned thing, I think relatively soon, called Blaster Kid. He's been working on it a long time, and he's shown some examples of it, and it looks crazy good. Actually, I think Sean's seen it, but it reminds me of some of the stuff Sean's looking at as far as like Muka's work. Not that it looks like Muka's work, but just how epic it is. I always imagine like a full-on church choir soundtrack when I look at Richard Friend's Blaster Kid stuff going on in the background as a soundtrack. Oh, I'm loving this face. It's fun. That is fun. You go, $2 brush, you go. Laughing in the face of Winsor Newton. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't mock my tools. Come back and bite me. It's pretty cool. Comrade Sammy says, I believe song he makes that have lyrics, he also makes an oh, okay, I'll check that out. Because yeah, I think instrumental would work best for me. Transformers just become fighting mechs. Who transform? That's right. That's what makes them cool. Takes them a step above all the other mechs. I mean, Transformers got hugely popular in America, like while a lot of kids were getting into or discovering like Robotech, right? So there's overlap there with the transforming what were they called? You guys know what I'm talking about. But those ships, the planes that would transform, but the fact that they were then sentient robot beings, come on. And then you get a voice like Optimus Prime. Man, that was amazing. It was gold. It's like printing money. And I think Daniel Warren Johnson's captured that feel, how absurd and how cool that those characters in that series is. Oftentimes, I remember talking about this with my buddy Lang, of like, I love how a lot of the times he would draw them. I think it's his mandate too, if I'm not mistaken. It says I've seen the current artist, Jorge Corona, do it as well. So I feel like this part of what Daniel Warren Johnson, the rules that he set for his Transformers world. But like whenever you see them transform, half the time they're like mid transform, so they're not like, cool pose, action pose. They're like half of their head is tucked in here and their arm is here, and I think that's so funny because that's how we remember these characters as toys. All right, now I gotta do this like afro style, which is a lot of texture, tiny curves. I think it goes out wider here. Cross hatching here. I think I handled that well. It's just like, did I count them right? Am I getting the right number? I hope I don't run out of space as I turn the corner. And these are all like flicks of the wrist for ZECK and Beatty, and I'm like totally counting each one. Wow, this is where it gets hard with the zip. I'm trying to see past. Let's get this scar. I have to watch my videos today. Oh, that's something I'm gonna try it. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun to like watch a video with you guys as I'm doing this. I gotta watch, well, I don't know if they're released yet. They might not be released yet. I have to watch my videos of what's coming out tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the last issue of Blood Hunt is coming out tomorrow. So that'll be 2 books for me, both the regular version and the red blood version. Look how thin these lines are. Beautiful. Feel like there's a little bit. Wow, I'm getting pretty comfortable with this brush. It's just hilarious that the Winsor Newton kind of disappointed me from the get-go. But hopefully, like Sean said, it's a bum brush. There we go. It's taking some shape. Okay. Are you starting to hear me smack? Sorry. Actually gonna have to take a bathroom break here in a second. Mucha. Raghi is so proud of his $2 brush. I am. I'm all for like a bargain. Should I keep that in mind when I'm looking for drawing supplies? Hey, start cheap, and if you can afford it, then go for the expensive ones. But I'd say start cheap, and if it works, it works. Adam says, I never got into Transformers, but I started watching Building Gundams. Oh, cool. That's cool. That's a whole nother world. My man got me a pencil set for Valentine's Day like 3 years ago, and it was part of a set of more supplies. And the whole pack was $5. And they're the best pencils I've ever had. There you go. You never know. $2 supplies. Dollar Tree is your friend. Um, Rocky hair cameo. Oh, sorry. I have to like, I don't know. I'm like looking in close. I have to like set it up somehow. But thank you for the warning. Inking a blowfish. I have a video, a compromising one. I think this is the second time you've said this, Mr. Monkey Boy, and that's making me nervous. This is the part of the internet that makes me nervous. What video are you talking about? All right, let's see. I got his face. Oh no, I got some chin left here. How cool looking is that? That's awesome. Let me just make sure I didn't overload the brush. Look how thin that is. Woo! Love it. It's kind of a sloppy turn here on this. Yeah, I'm not happy with how these turned out, but it's okay. It's like there's an art form to, oops, to the curvature of, yeah, these are too thick. The curvature of hatch lines and how they create the form, right? How they wrap around the form. And so some of the things I'm doing right now are just reproducing the hatch lines that I'm seeing, but they're not really just because I'm just trying to copy what I'm seeing. But if I'm thinking about it properly, they would be more like wrapping properly the form. But that's why we're practicing. Giving me some goopy lines, so I'm going to clean it off with some water and then reload it. Uh-oh. Mr. Monkey Boy, what are you doing? Okay, I'm gonna have to... Oh. Yeah, that video's not the greatest. That was... So, that video was a long time ago, and there was an organization that I was helping out with called Kids in Art, and it's for kids that either the kids themselves have cancer or their siblings do. Sorry, I'm just thinking about how to approach this. Yeah, either they have cancer or their siblings do, and then they would pair them up with artists to spend a day with the kids and draw with them or do whatever. Like, so I did comics with kids one day. Sometimes I would do painting with them. It was really amazing. It was really fun. It was a beautiful, great organization. And the woman who started it, her name was Purvi Shah. Her son died of cancer, and just loved to. He wanted to be an artist. He loved art, and that was part of the way that as he would go through his treatment and remission and then back into treatment, all that kind of stuff. Art was like a therapy for him. And she herself, his mom, Purvi, she was an artist. And so it was just really healing for their family. Unfortunately, her son passed away, and she started this organization. I think she started it while he was still alive, but this organization called Kids in Art. And I think it's still in existence. But I volunteered a number of times. It really impacted me and was just a beautiful use of art for healing and just connection to people and inspiration, and just for a day you could help these kids escape from just the enormous weight that they had to carry as kids that were dealing with cancer. So yeah, it was amazing. It was just an amazing thing to be a part of, and there was auctions and all sorts of different events. For several years, I was involved with this organization. And so that video, she was asking us to do like a support video, I can't remember, of for them, and to post it on YouTube. And I think at the same time it was Halloween. So should I hit these? I might have to hit these spots with the Pigma because they're straight lines. Or I could freehand it, but I think I'm going to hit it with the Pigmas or the Pit Pens. So yeah, that video, we were in costume at my studio, and we were just kind of sharing our support, but I was in costume and I was dressed up like, what was the name of that character? The Abominable Snowman from Frozen, because at the time my daughter was really into Frozen, and I made that costume. But yeah, that video's out there, and that's an unfortunate thing. That's okay though. I love that organization, so I was happy to do that. But looking back on it, I did kind of look ridiculous. Yeah, I think I'll hit that. Those straight lines with the Pit Pens. Oh my gosh, I realized too I gotta do all these hairs on his chest. We'll save that. We'll save that for another time. Not right now. Cool, cool. All right, let me move to another panel. How's that? It was so quiet, I thought Rocky was muted. Possible. That was possible. Mr. Monkey says no, noble cause. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. There were some great artists too that she would get involved. She got like Pixar artists involved and people from Lucasfilm and ILM, and so I was just lucky to be included in that. And everybody that I talked to that volunteered for that, the professional artists, we always felt like we got way more out of it than the kids did. Like, you just see these kids and, you know, I mean, you go into it and you are a little nervous because you're like, oh my gosh, like they're dealing with such heavy things in life. And you go in with all these preconceived notions of what it's going to be like. And it was varying degrees of how severe these kids were or what they were dealing with. They partnered with local hospitals, so that's how they kind of got connected with these kids. So sometimes kids would be there. They would be on like breathing apparatuses. I mean, they could still walk around, but they would have like tubes. Sometimes the kids would look just like totally normal. Sometimes you would be dealing with siblings, so they were healthy, but they were, you know, wanted an escape from their everyday of having to like support their sibling. So you just didn't know. So I would go into each event pretty nervous. But what would quickly come out of it was you'd realize these kids, no matter what stage they were in, were just kids. And they had opinions on things. And they wanted to do things a certain way that they wanted to do things. And they were just like any quote-unquote normal kid walking on the street, even though they were bearing this weight of a life and death illness in their everyday. So it was super, super humbling to be a part of, and it was great. It was such a great thing. And so I would always come out of those events feeling like, wow, I learned so much from this kid of just how to like be thankful for life and enjoy the little things and not let it, you know, as best as you could, not let it consume you or define who you are. Yes, you have this disease and it's horrible and you got to fight it. You got to have a resilience and, you know, support system. But at the same time, you got to be a kid. And if the kid wants to draw a certain thing a certain way, he's going to draw something a certain way. And you couldn't tell him otherwise. So it was pretty awesome. What was I doing? There was something that I saw that I missed. What did I miss? Oh, yes. These hatch lines on his arm. Ugh. This is something I gotta work on better. I feel like my hatch lines are not those are all like totally angled weird. Oh well. Yeah, I think I'm not working in the right angle for those hatch lines. I totally boofed that. I might have to white that out and try that again, but we'll worry about it later. Something I gotta practice just on a separate page probably is just like curvature of the hatch lines according to the form. Getting the right thick and thin. I mean, that's what's going to start separating out the good from the bad. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, let me move to a different section. A different section. Let's see. Maybe I'll do this face. The only issue with this face is this page goes. You know what? I'm gonna pause. Hang tight, guys. I'm going to. I'm gonna go take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. All right. I am back. Mr. Monkey Boy said while I was gone, okay, kids, crayon time. Now that Rocky's gone, let's tell secrets about him. No. Hey, Pastmaster Dan says silencer on a revolver doesn't work. Yeah, I think this was like the prisoner silencer, or as some people said, like the can. Like it's not a real silencer. It's just something. I don't know. Comics. Welcome though. Thanks for coming in. All right, let me move to this guy. Comrade Sammy says you weren't talking about me. Okay, sure. I get it. Who are you talking about? What time is it? I do have to get going soon. Probably in about half an hour I gotta end this. But as I was saying is at the beginning of the stream is I might stream again tonight. Just because I want to keep going. I feel bad if I'm not feel bad. This weird codependency I have with you guys. But to work on this I want to be working on this on stream. So then, even though I want to keep working, I'm like, well, can I stream now? I don't want to work on it while I'm not streaming. I mean, I can. I did that with the pencil, so. But I'll try. I might try and stream again later today, just to keep going. Because tomorrow I'll be on my other side of the room, or for my Wednesday comics. So it's not like I can do my Wednesday comics and draw at the same time. At least not my current setup. Not a good hatch mark. It's so cool to see this stuff up close. It's just like a flick of the wrist, and there's like dimensionality in the nostril. I can't imagine that was accidental. Should try out that other brush, that other $2 sable brush I have, but if I restart a stream later, maybe I'll try that brush. I don't want to derail my mojo going on right now. Oh my gosh, all these like squiggle, 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 squiggle. And I am going to try and get the audio working. Again, if I stream again today or tonight, I'm going to try and get the audio working so that those new sound effects work and the trailer works. Squiggle. I'm getting lost. Gosh, there's so many. You'd be frowning a lot, Punisher. So many frowns. Frown lines. Past Master Dan says it's a makeshift, makeshift silencer. Sean's here. He is, always. Sean's always there. Flitting Dude, trying to add to the Enjeti collection, but have no money. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, because you should have it. But we understand. We should say that. We understand. I think just watching, I had mentioned Richard Friend doing streaming from Comic-Con and looking at like original art and stuff like that, and it just confirms to me how much I love this part of the process and how valuable it is for the art form versus working purely digital, because just watching how much and I respect him so much, and I respect what he has done for the art form and what he loves about it and how he talks about it and kind of shares it, and just to see how he reacts to seeing original work as somebody who's worked in the business and is around it all the time and makes it, but just seeing how much he loves it still was so inspiring, and it just made me like, yeah, I want to be, I want my work to inspire somebody in that way, continue that on, bring that joy and love for the art form. People can hopefully look at my work and go like, oh, you could just see the love and the passion that was put into it, like as I'm studying these guys here and just saying like, Yeah, it was their job, but you can tell they loved it. They loved it. They loved putting the marks down. They loved creating something cool and contributing. Wow, these are super thin lines. Has anybody seen the new Deadpool movie? I'm trying to see that this week. It's getting great reviews. Looks like a lot of fun. They're like some of the reviews or some of the people are saying like, oh, because the whole explanation of why superhero movies have not been doing well the last few years is like, oh, well, we're in superhero fatigue. You know, it's just too much. It's oversaturated market. And then Deadpool came out and just kind of like made lots of money over the opening weekend. And they're like, so some of the reviews I'm reading now are like, oh, well, yeah, it wasn't really superhero fatigue. It's just like, it's just a good movie. And all the other movies were just bad movies, which is kind of what I feel like is the truth of it. It has nothing to do with superhero fatigue. Maybe a small factor, but the reality is if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. People are going to come watch it. I was going to try and watch the other, whoops, um, the other Deadpools this week and prep of it. Kind of blend in a little bit. I can't remember if one part I saw was in one Deadpool or the other one. Oh goodness. This hair is going to be a lesson in angle of my stroke. So let me do this other parts first. Because I'm definitely going to have to rotate. Look at this thin line that's coming out of this brush though. Woo! Let's go. Oh, sorry. Was I off frame this whole time? Let's move that down a little bit more. Sean says, Rock and I have been friends for 30 years. I'm so glad other people are seeing what I've seen for all the time I've known him. A skilled artist and a good man. Oh, thanks, Sean. Thank you. Love you, dude. Emo Trust says, I'm still sort of here. My uncle came home, started asking me all sorts of stuff as he does, and Gothic chat somehow got even more lit for a bit. No problem, Emo Trash. Hey, Mr. Dragon, are you... Wait, you were here. You back? Great job. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just going back to Shant, like, I can't believe how long we've known each other. And the funny thing is like, and he calls it out all the time. He's like, we still have the same conversations that we had when we first met. I mean, we're older and we have more to talk about, like with life and stages of life, kids, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, with like comics and stuff that we love, it's still kind of the same conversations, which is crazy. And if you had told me that when we first met, that our friendship would be here where it is right now, I would have not believed you. Oh my gosh, this hair is gonna be hard. Woo! Thanks for nothing, Beatty. This is where, like, there's only so much of this kind of finesse that you can get in pencil phase. So this is where I feel like John Beatty brought it when he was on Mike Zeck's work. Like, this is the kind of stuff that he added to it that, like, took it up on another level. Oh my gosh. There's like so much variation here. Seems simple, but oh my goodness. So much variation in the highlights and the hair, how he's clumping them together, how he's spacing out his brush strokes. Wow, I just totally boofed that one. How do we get that? How are we gonna fix this? Whoops. Fixed it. We'll fix it in post. Goofed that swirl. Well, I'll just mark it as something I need to maybe hit with the whiteout later. That's another thing I didn't. I wonder. Should I use the same brush? I should have a separate brush for the whiteout. I shouldn't use the same brush, right? I didn't take that into consideration. Should probably have a separate brush that just that is just for whiteout. Good question. I don't think of all the people that I've listened to. Ooh. Let's see, I can't. Well, you guys are just gonna. You're gonna have to just see this covered for a second while I do this slides. They should have some sort of like sensor on the camera that either like shoots out a frame, or like on your page, it projects it on your page so you know where you are, or like beeps when you're off frame as you're drawing. I should invent that, because I don't know as I'm rotating the page and blah blah blah, like if you guys can even see what I'm doing. Look at that hair. Wow, that's cool. Let me zoom out of here a bit so you guys can see. Yeah, I'll draw at this angle, or this scale, for a little bit so you can see the whole thing. All right. Yeah, I probably got maybe 10 more minutes, people. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I certainly have. It's funny, if I do this and I'm not streaming, I wonder if I'll still keep talking as I'm doing it. Just by like instinct, I'll just start like explaining what I'm doing, talking, and nobody's there. Ah, I just boofed that. I really got to work on these. Practicing. Like drills. My hatch lines. Hatching form. Because I am not doing a great job of it. Not being consistent with it. So it's looking very blobby. But that's okay. Don't be too precious. Just do it. Just do it. You can learn. This section I definitely wasn't really tightening it. So I gotta figure out, I can imagine this is how some inkers feel, like certain sections pencilers are really tight, but then certain sections probably looser. Wow, got like 19 messages, sorry. Okay, nothing urgent. Ooh. This is daunting. I think this section actually can be a little freer with the mark making. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this hand and then I'll kind of fudge the stuff in the middle. But if I try and be so tight with it here, I'm going to hit a point where the hand is going to totally off. It's amazing how much a little ink will go. I only put like 2 drops in there, or 2 dropperfuls. For me, naturally, as I'm doing this, the stroke that goes from inside out is a lot more natural, and I get a cleaner line than coming outside in. And left to right, because I guess because I'm right-handed, is more of a natural direction too. Woo! I love how that felt coming off the brush. One of the interesting comic facts I found out this morning was I was just reading some news, a little bit more news about that Jason Pearson artist edition on body bags, which very excited about. But I had no idea, somebody posted this morning, I had no idea that both Pearson and Michael Golden, who he was doing all the covers for the miniseries, had did their version of the cover for the trade paperback. So, Jason, rephrasing, Jason Pearson drew the cover for the trade paperback. He inked a version of for himself, and then Michael Golden took that same pencil drawing and inked it for himself, or inked it, and that was the version they ended up using on the trade paperback. So there's two versions out there: one an inked by Jason Pearson version, and one an inked by Michael Golden version. Arguably, the Michael Golden inked version I think looks better, and that's the one they ended up using. But they're both really cool, and I never noticed that before. I always thought just one was with the type on it, and one was without. One was with the type of the headdress, and the other one was without. But no, two different ink styles on it. And it was cool to see the decisions that Michael Golden made and the decisions that Jason Pearson made on his own work. It was really cool. It's like inkers bring so much to the table and can add so much. Mr. Monkey Boy says, I hope Grumpy Art doesn't watch this. Who's Grumpy Art? That doesn't sound good. Do they watch it and then they like comment in a grumpy way of what they do? Say potato out with the potatoes. Say potato out. What is that? What are you guys talking about with the potatoes? Something I'm missing. Stolen cow's milk, that vegan teacher. Rocky gonna have a whole inner dialogue with himself. Yeah, I know. I already do. It's just whether or not I'm gonna verbalize it. All right, dude. Is it lunchtime? Lunch, actually, it is lunchtime. I do need to eat something before I go to my appointment. All right, let me just finish up a couple more things here and then call it, because I do have to wrap it up. This has been really fun. I will say, and I've heard other artists say this before, it is kind of therapeutic. Creating art is kind of therapeutic. It's like that discipline of like, it's a lot more therapeutic for me to do this traditionally than digitally. Like wrestling with the page, futzing with the medium, the brushes, the paper, the ink lines, all that kind of stuff. It's all part of it. It goes into making something successful. It's more than just about the final product. I'm gonna have to fake some distance here because, or some of the proportions here, because I know I was off in the pencils. Ooh, slow down, Rocky. Get a little sloppy. just realized I have to put something in the description to say that the intro was silent. Otherwise, people are gonna come to this stream when they watch the video back and they'll be like, I don't hear anything. That's lame, and they're gonna move on. Oh, I forgot this thumb here. Kind of got cut off on my photocopy. Badoo. Here we go. I think I'm gonna stop here, people. Here we go. How about that? On our way. Not even one panel done. That's okay. We're making progress. That's the whole point. All right, let me catch here. Why are we spamming a ton of emojis? I don't know. I don't know. I'm an idiot. No, you're not. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Potatoes and whatnot. All right, just cleaning off my brushes here. Did I use this brush? I don't even remember. Whoa. So that stuff doesn't cake on. But I do have this. I can show you guys real quick. I want this. Wait. This stuff here, people have told me about. It's called Brush Cleaner, and it's by The Masters, or Brush Preserver. Who's the brand? I don't know. I've seen a lot of people do it. And you just basically put a little bit of liquid in there and take your brush and you rub it around until there's a, or stir it around until there's a lather, and then you rinse it off, and then you keep doing it, keep doing it. So it helps to get all that stuff that's like built into the brush, or that gets absorbed in the brush hairs, out. So I will be sure to do that when I'm done here. But yeah, there we go. So I will try is the operative word, to stream again later today if I can pull it off. But I may work on this. If I can, I may work on this still, because I'm having too much fun. This is seeing like that blue behind the black ink on this white Bristol page just drives me crazy how excited that makes me. So I might keep going, and then I'll just have conversations with myself. I definitely won't finish this before whenever I stream again. I won't finish this before then, but who knows. But the hope is maybe I will stream. I'll definitely be streaming tomorrow. I'll be streaming tomorrow for my Wednesday comics, unless something goes crazy, but that is the plan, to stream for that. But like I said, I can't draw and do my Wednesday comics because I have that different setup, which makes me look nicer, but cannot draw. So yeah, so I will stream tomorrow. I might stream again tonight if I do another draw stream or ink stream or master study stream, whatever we want to call this. I need to come up with some kind of cool intro for this stream, that's different than the other ones. So yeah. But thanks everyone who came in. Missed a bunch of this one due to daily storms here. Oh no! Oh, Maggie! Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Poor dog. Stupid storms. It's like the worst thing. That and like fireworks. Mr. Dragon, he's just emojiing himself out of this. Hail all, God bless. Sean, thank you for coming. Thanks all of you guys for coming and just hanging out while I do this. And I appreciate the eyeballs. I appreciate the commentary and just being witness to me figuring out and studying the master mic ZECK. I had a whole lot of fun. I'm learning a lot. Just a hour or so that we did this. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to it. If I didn't have this meeting, I'd just keep going. But thank you guys so much. Oh no, if I play the end, you might not hear sound. That would suck. I think that's gonna happen. So if it's silent, apologies. Let me know in the comments if it's silent. But I think that's it. Please like and subscribe if you like this content, and tell your friends about it. Tell Gothics about it. But yeah, definitely like and subscribe. That helps a lot. I think we're at 267. So there was a little bit of a jump there since I started doing the master studies. So it seems like it's content that people are interested in and enjoy watching. So I appreciate all the help that I can getting eyeballs on this and just building the community around this, because it's really fun and I enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So thank you so much. I will hopefully see you guys later today. If not, I'll definitely see you tomorrow. All right, take care. Peace.